My name is Daniel Reyes, and I'm the overnight supervisor at a regional 911 routing center. And I need to say what I'm seeing while I can still say it plainly. It's 3:04 in the morning. I want to be precise about that because the timestamp is going to matter. Here's what my job is, so you understand why I noticed. When one of our dispatchers sends an ambulance somewhere, the receiving hospital acknowledges. It's automatic. A packet goes out, a packet comes back. Bed available, trauma bay open. We're ready. It happens hundreds of times a night, and no one ever thinks about it. The same way you don't think about your own pulse. At 3:01, a rig went out to a cardiac call on the east side. Standard. My dispatcher, Priya, routed it to Mercy General, which is 4 minutes from the patient. Mercy is a level 2 trauma center. It has never once, in the 6 years I've worked this desk, failed to acknowledge. At 3:01, the packet went out. At 3:02, nothing came back. Priya resented. That's protocol. Sometimes a switch hiccups. Nothing came back. She called the direct line, the one that rings at the charge nurse's station. It rang. It just rang. I told her to try the ED admin line, then the operator, then the main hospital number, the one printed on the side of the building. All of them ring. None of them answer. I'm looking at the board right now. Mercy General is showing green on our system, which means the connection is live, the hospital exists, the line is open. Green means someone should be picking up. Green means the door is unlocked and the lights are on and nobody is home. I've been doing this a long time. I know what a phone outage looks like. This is not that. I don't know what this is yet. But I wanted on the record that it started with one hospital that wouldn't say the one word it always says. The good news, if you can call it that, is that we have redundancy. We always have redundancy. That's the whole design of this job. Assume any one thing will fail, and have another thing ready. So I told Priya, reroute the cardiac patient to St. Anne's. It's 7 minutes out instead of 4, which for a heart attack is not nothing, but it's survivable. St. Anne's is smaller, older, understaffed like everybody, but it answers. Priya sent the packet. I watched her face. She resented. She looked up at me, and I already knew, because I have worked next to this woman for 4 years, and I know every expression she has, and this was a new one. St. Anne's didn't answer either. Now, I want to be reasonable here, because that's what they pay me to be. 2 hospitals in the same metro going dark at the same moment, that points to something upstream. A fiber cut, a carrier outage, some backhoe 2 counties over that clipped a line it wasn't supposed to touch. That would take out both at once, and it would look exactly like this, except the board is still green. If it were a fiber cut, the board would go red. The system would know the pipe was broken. The board is telling me the pipes are fine. The board is telling me the calls are connecting. They're connecting to hospitals that will not pick up the phone. I got on the horn to our carrier's network operations center. Real person, sleepy voice, guy named Marcus. I asked him if he was seeing any outages in our region. He said no. Clean board on his end. Everything nominal. I said, 2 hospitals just stopped answering. He said, that's not a network problem. And there was a pause after he said it, a little pause, because we both understood what that sentence actually means. If it's not the network, then the lines are working. The lines are working, and the phones are ringing on desks where 4 minutes ago, people were sitting. I told Priya to try a 3rd hospital. I'll tell you what happened next in a second. I need to breathe first. The 3rd hospital was county, the big one. 2,000 beds, a helipad, a burn unit, the place they take you when it's the worst night of your life. County has its own switchboard, its own backup switchboard, and a satellite uplink for exactly the kind of disaster where the ground lines go down. County did not answer any of them. 3 for 3. I need you to understand the size of that number. On any normal night, if I picked 3 hospitals at random and called them at 3 in the morning, the odds that all 3 fail to answer are... I don't even have the math. It doesn't happen. It's like flipping a coin and having it land on its edge 3 times in a row. Priya was already pale. She's the calmest person on this floor, calmer than me, and her hands had stopped moving over the keyboard, just resting there. I took over the next call myself. I wanted to hear it with my own ears, not read it off a screen. I dialed County's main line, the old-fashioned way. It rang. I want to describe the ringing to you, because it's the part I keep coming back to. It rang normally. Clean tone, standard interval. That patient electronic pulse that means the call is alive and the phone on the other end is physically making noise in a physical room. Ring, pause, ring, pause. 20 rings, I counted. 22, 23. Nobody in a 2,000-bed hospital picked up a ringing phone. I hung up. My hand was steady. I made sure of that. Somebody on this floor has to have a steady hand. Then Priya said quietly, "Danny, look at the other cities. We are a regional center, but we can see the national picture. Not everything we don't have call audio from Denver or anything like that, but we have status. We can see whether the automated handshake between dispatch and hospital is completing across the system, city by city, because it all runs through a shared federal backbone. It's the closest thing this country has to a nervous system for emergencies." Priya pulled it up on the big screen. There's a map. You've seen maps like it the United States, dots for major medical facilities, and a color for each. Green for handshaking normally, yellow for delayed, red for down. At 2:55, 5 minutes before all this started, that map was almost entirely green. A few scattered yellows. One red in rural Montana, where a clinic's ISP had been flaky all week. Normal, boring, the way you want it. I'm looking at it now. It's 3:11. The green is going out. Not all at once. That's the thing that makes my skin crawl. It's not a switch. It's a spread. It started somewhere on the East Coast, I can't tell exactly where. The timestamps are too close together, and it is moving. Boston's dots went first. Then a wave down through New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore. Not red. That's what I keep telling myself. They are not turning red. Red would mean the connection died. Red would be a technical failure I could name. They're turning gray. Gray isn't even a normal color on this map. I had to look it up in the manual while Priya watched the screen. Gray means connection confirmed live, handshake initiated, no acknowledgement received. Gray means the call went through and sat there and nothing answered and the timeout expired. Gray is the color of a ringing phone in an empty room. And it's moving west. I can watch it move. Pittsburgh just went gray. Columbus. Detroit is flickering. It's coming across the country at a speed I can almost measure. And if I'm reading this right, if this line holds and this pace holds, it is going to reach every hospital that we route to, every place we send the dying in a little under an hour. Marcus from the carrier is back on my headset. I can hear him breathing. He said, "Daniel, my whole national board just went gray, and it's not my equipment. Every circuit is testing clean. The phones are ringing. Nobody's home. What is this?" I said I didn't know. That was the truth then. It's still the truth now. Let me be the voice of reason for a minute, because somebody has to be, and it's my shift. There are explanations for this that don't require the world to be ending. I've been running through them, one by one, the way you're trained to. You don't panic. You eliminate. Explanation 1. Coordinated cyber attack. Somebody hit the hospital phone systems. VoIP is software now almost every hospital switched over years ago. And if you compromise the right vendor, you could theoretically silence a lot of phones fast. It would move like this, jumping from system to system. But a cyber attack takes the phones down. It doesn't make them ring forever. It doesn't leave the line alive and the room silent. And it wouldn't hit the copper backups and the satellite uplinks and the direct nurse station lines all at once. Because those don't share software. Nothing shares all of that. There is no single thing you can attack that turns off a whole hospital's ability to say hello while keeping every wire physically intact. Explanation 2. Staff walked out. A wildcat strike, a mass evacuation, a gas leak, a threat. People do leave buildings, but not silently. Not without one single soul answering one single phone to say, "We're evacuating." Not simultaneously in 40 cities. Not fanning east to west across 4 time zones on a curve. Explanation 3. And this is the one Priya said out loud, very softly, so the newer dispatchers wouldn't hear. What if they're all still in there? I told her to focus, but I'm going to be honest with you, because this recording is the honest version. That's the one I can't eliminate, because the phones are ringing. In a building where everyone had died, or fainted, or evacuated, the phones would still ring. A ringing phone doesn't need a person, it just needs current and a caller. So the ringing tells me nothing about the people. The people are the gray part of the map. The people are the acknowledgement that never comes back. I've now had our system attempt contact with 11 hospitals across 4 states. 11 ringing phones. 11 silences. The math person in me wants to say, silence is not death. Silence is just silence. A phone can go unanswered for 100 reasons. But a hospital is not a house. A hospital is the one place in America that answers. That's the whole point of a hospital. It is the building at the end of the worst night of everyone's life. And it answers, always. That is the promise. That is the entire promise. And the promise is going gray from the east. At 3:19, something came back. Not an acknowledgement packet, a person. A live human voice on an inbound line. And I want to tell you exactly what she said because I've played it 3 times and I've written it down. She was calling from a hospital, a small one in western Pennsylvania, that had gone gray about 6 minutes earlier on the map. She got through to us because she called 911 herself, a nurse, dialing 911 from inside a hospital, which is a thing I have never heard of in my life. Priya took it and put it on the room speaker after the first 10 seconds because she knew. The nurse was whispering. Not scared whispering, careful whispering, like someone trying not to wake a room. She said the phones at her station were ringing. All of them. Every line lit up at once and would not stop. And when she picked one up, there was nothing on the other end. Just the open line sound. That soft nothing. She said she'd walked to the ED to get the charge nurse, and the charge nurse was standing at the central desk with a phone in each hand, one at each ear. Not talking, just listening. Not moving. She said she waved and the charge nurse didn't turn. Priya asked her, very calm, very kind, "Is anyone hurt? Do you need medical or fire?" And the nurse said, "No. Nobody's hurt. That's the thing. Nobody's hurt. They're all just answering." I leaned into the mic. I asked her, "Answering what?" There was a long pause on the line. I could hear the ringing behind her. Dozens of phones, layered, all ringing at once, a sound like a bad dream about being at work. She said, I don't know, but they can hear it and I can't. And I think that's why they're leaving me alone. Then she said she was going to hang up and go out to the parking lot and sit in her car with the doors locked. And she thanked us. She actually thanked us. And the line went dead. Her hospital is still gray on my map. She's the only person I've talked to tonight who left a hospital and lived to say so. That I know of. The wave reached Chicago at 3:24. I know because Chicago is a hub. When a hub goes, the map doesn't just change color, the numbers move. Call volume rerouting, load balancing kicking in. All these automated systems trying to compensate for a city's worth of hospitals going quiet. It looked, for about 90 seconds, like a heart trying to route blood around a clot. Then it stopped trying because there was nowhere to route to. I got a call, a real call, dispatcher to dispatcher from a woman named Teresa at the Chicago Regional Center. We've never met. We talk maybe twice a year when there's a national drill. Her voice was doing the thing my voice is probably doing now. The thing where you can hear a person holding themselves together by choosing each word, one at a time. She said, Daniel, are you seeing it move? I said yes. She said, it's not moving. That's what I called to tell you. Everybody thinks it's moving east to west. It's not. It's a delay, not a direction. I asked her what she meant. She said her people had graphed the timestamps. Every hospital was going gray at the exact same real-world moment. Adjusted for the time it takes a signal to propagate through the backbone. It wasn't traveling across the country like a storm. It hit everywhere simultaneously. And we were just watching the confirmations arrive in the order the distances allowed. Like thunder from a lightning strike that already happened. It already happened, she said. All of it, at once. We're just hearing it now. I didn't have anything to say to that. Then she said the part that made me put my own hand flat on the desk to keep it still. She said her husband was an ER doc, overnight at a hospital on the north side. She'd been calling his cell since 3:24. It rang every time, every single time it rang. He always picks up for me, she said, even mid-code. He picks up, says, busy, love you, and hangs up. 20 years. He always picks up. I said maybe his phone was in a locker. She said, it's ringing, Daniel. If it were off, it'd go to voicemail. It's ringing. He's near it. He's right next to it. And it's ringing. I told her to keep the line to me open. She said she would. She didn't. Here is where I have to tell you about us. At 3:31, every hospital in our routing region is gray. Every single one. I have watched the last green dot on my local map turn the color of a dead screen. And it was children's. It was the Children's Hospital. And I want to stop talking about that one specifically, so I'm going to move on. All of them gray, ringing, unanswered. But us, this center, this floor, the 11 of us sitting in this room, we are green. I checked. We are handshaking normally with everything except the hospitals. Our lines to the carrier are up. Our lines to police and fire are up. I called the fire dispatch 2 blocks over, and a guy named Sal picked up on the second ring and said, "What's going on with the hospitals?" And I have never in my life been so happy to hear an annoyed man's voice. So it's not us. It's not this building. Whatever is happening, it wants the hospitals. It went to the hospitals specifically. And it left the fire station and the police precinct and the water treatment plant and this room alone. And I've been sitting with that for a few minutes. And I think I understand something. And I don't like it. The nurse in Pennsylvania said they left her alone because she couldn't hear it. Maybe we're green because whatever's calling, it's not calling us. It's calling them. The people whose whole job is to answer. The people who took an oath to answer. The ones who, at 3 a.m, are the most awake, the most trained, the most ready in the entire country to pick up a line and say, "I'm here. Tell me what's wrong. I've got you." It called the people who answer. And they answered. I have to route the next ambulance somewhere. There's a call coming in. I can see it lighting up on Priya's board. A car accident, 3 victims, and I have nowhere on earth to send them. The car accident is real. It's on the interstate, mile marker 44. And there are 3 people in it. And one of them is not going to make it without a trauma center, and there is no trauma center. Let me say that again because I need to hear how it sounds. In a metro area of 2 million people, at 3:38 in the morning, there is no trauma center. There are 11 of them. All 11 are physically standing, fully staffed, lit up, powered, connected. And there is no trauma center, because not one of them will answer the phone. And I cannot in good conscience send a bleeding human being through the doors of a building where the last voice we heard described the staff standing at the desk, holding phones to their ears and not turning around. Priya asked me what to do. She asked me directly, supervisor to dispatcher, the way you ask when you need someone above you to own the decision. I made a call that isn't in any manual. I told the paramedics to treat and hold. Stabilize on scene, do not transport. I told them the hospitals were experiencing a communications failure. That's the phrase I used, communications failure. Because it's technically true, and because I'm not going to say the other thing over an open radio to 2 exhausted medics on a dark highway. The senior medic, a woman, came back on and said, "Hold where? For how long? This guy needs a surgeon in the next 30 minutes or he's gone." And I didn't have an answer. So I told her the truth, the part of it I could stand to say. I said, "Every hospital in the region is not answering right now. Not one. I don't have anywhere to send you. I'm sorry. Keep him alive as long as you can, and I will call you the second one of them comes back." There was silence on the radio. Then she said, "Copy." And I have thought about the way she said that word more than I've thought about almost anything else tonight. Because copy means I understand. And she did understand. She understood completely. And there was nothing left to say after understanding. I want to tell the families listening, and I know there are families listening now, because the news has it. It's everywhere. My phone won't stop. I want to tell you that your paramedics are still out there. They didn't stop. They are kneeling on highways and in kitchens and on bathroom floors right now, doing everything 2 people with a jump bag can do. They are the ones who didn't get called into whatever this is. They're still human. They're still answering you. It's the buildings that stopped answering. Hold on. Priya's got something. Priya recorded it. I don't know how she must have had a line open to one of the gray hospitals when it happened, but she got about 4 seconds of audio from inside a hospital. And she's played it for me. And now I'm going to describe it, because I'm not going to play it for you. I made that decision, and I'm keeping it. Here's why I won't play it. The nurse in Pennsylvania said the staff could hear something she couldn't. I've been assuming that was a figure of speech or trauma or a bad connection. But Priya put one earbud in to check the recording. Just one, for maybe 2 seconds. And she pulled it out so fast, she scratched her own ear. And she's sitting very still now. And she told me not to listen to it. She told me as my subordinate. And then she told me again as my friend. So I'll tell you what she says it is. And you can decide what to do with that. She says it's not a voice, it's not words. She says it's the sound a phone makes, that ringing. That patient electronic pulse, but slowed down and layered. And underneath the ring, there's something that isn't part of the ring. Something in the gap between the rings. In the pause. She said the ring is just there to get your attention. And the real thing is in the silence after it. And once you've heard the silence, you want to hear it again. You need to hear what's in the next pause. And that's why they keep the phones to their ears. They're not answering a caller. They're waiting for the next gap. I asked her if she was okay. She said she only heard the ring part. She said she didn't get to the gap. She said it very carefully, like a woman testing whether a floorboard will hold her weight. I've moved her away from the recording. I deleted it from her station. I want that on the record too. There was a recording of the sound, and I destroyed it on purpose, and I would do it again. Because I finally understand the shape of what left us alone. It didn't skip the fire station and the police and this room because we're special. It skipped us because we weren't listening for it. The hospitals were listening. That's what a hospital does. It listens for the call. And tonight, for the first time, something called back. The news is on now. All of it. My phone, the TV in the break room, the scroll at the bottom of the screen. And I have to tell you, as somebody sitting inside the actual thing, that they're getting it wrong. And the way they're getting it wrong scares me almost as much as the thing itself. They're calling it an outage. Nationwide hospital communications outage. They've got a graphic and everything, a red banner, experts on the phone. A telecom analyst just explained, very confidently, that this is a cascading VoIP failure and that service should be restored within hours. It is not an outage. I've told you why. The lines are up. I could send that analyst a screenshot of my board, all green connections into gray silence. And he would not have a framework for it, because there is no framework for a working phone that no one will answer. But here's the part that got me. A reporter asked an official, some emergency management spokesman. Doing his best, I don't blame him, she asked. Are people inside the hospitals safe? And he said, we have no reason to believe anyone is in danger. No reason to believe. That phrase, that's the phrase you use when you don't know and you can't check. And you can't check because to check, you'd have to go inside. And to go inside, I keep coming back to the charge nurse with a phone at each ear, not turning around. Somebody is going to send people in. That's the next thing that happens. It has to be. You can't have every hospital in the country full of unresponsive medical staff and just leave them. There are police right now. And I'd bet there are family members standing in ER parking lots, working up the nerve to walk through those sliding doors. I want to say something to those people. And I hope to God it reaches even one of you. Don't go in listening. I don't know how to protect you. And I'm not a doctor. And I'm not anybody. I'm a guy at a desk. But every single account I have tonight says the same thing. The ones who are gone were listening for the call. The nurse who lived couldn't hear it. Whatever this is, it comes through what you're straining to hear. So if you go in, and I'm begging you not to go in, expecting silence, don't wait for the gap. Marcus, my carrier contact, the guy at the network operations center who told me hours ago that this wasn't a network problem. Marcus stopped talking. We'd kept an open line the whole time. It was comforting, honestly. Every few minutes, one of us would say something. Still green on your end? Still green? Denver's gone. Yeah, I see it. 2 men in 2 buildings keeping each other company through the worst night either of us had ever worked. Around 3:52, he went quiet. Not gone. The line was still open. I could hear his room, the hum of a server floor, somebody's radio playing low somewhere. I said, Marcus? Nothing. I said, "Marcus, you with me?" And then I heard it, a faint through his headset, in his building, 200 miles away. A phone was ringing. Marcus's building is not a hospital. That's the whole reason I thought we were safe. It's a network operations center. It has phones, sure, but it's not supposed to be listening for anyone. But Marcus's job, all night, every night, is to watch the board and wait for something to go wrong and answer when it does. Marcus answers. That's what Marcus does. I heard him get up. I heard the chair roll back. I said his name 3 more times, louder each time, which is stupid because if he could hear me, he'd have answered. And if he couldn't hear me, it was because he was hearing something else. The ringing in his building stopped. And then there was the open line sound. The soft nothing. The gap. The line to Marcus is still open right now. I haven't hung up. I don't know why I haven't hung up. I think if I hang up, it makes it real. And as long as the line's open, there's a version where he's just gone to the bathroom. He's just getting coffee. He'll be right back. He'll say, "Sorry, man, what did I miss?" He's not coming back. I know he's not. It's not just hospitals anymore. It's anyone whose job is to answer. And I run a room full of people whose entire job is to answer. I need to tell you what my job actually is now. At 3:58 in the morning, because it just changed. For 6 years, my job has been to make sure the calls get answered. Every metric I'm graded on is about answering. Average answer time, abandoned call rate. We train for it. We drill it. When a line lights up, we pick it up. That's the reflex. That's the whole muscle we've built. You hear the tone and your hand is already moving. Before you think, before you're even fully awake. The hand goes to the headset and the mouth says, "911, what's your emergency?" I built that reflex into every person in this room. And now I'm looking at them. There are 10 of them besides me. Priya, who I've moved to the far side of the floor, away from every ringing thing. 2 veterans, Dawson and Okafor, who've been doing this longer than me. 6 others, younger, some of them a year out of training. The calls are still coming in. Regular ones. A domestic disturbance. A guy with chest pain. A woman who can smell gas. Real people with real emergencies. And my dispatchers are picking up. Because that's the reflex. That's the muscle. And every time one of them says 911, what's your emergency? My whole body goes cold. Because I'm waiting to see which call is the one that isn't a person. Because that's how it gets in. I'm sure of it now. It doesn't break down the door. It calls. It rings the line. And you pick up, because picking up is who you are. And then you're not listening to a caller anymore. You're listening to the gap. I've done something. I hope it's the right thing. I've told my whole floor, from now on, before you answer, you say your own name out loud. First and last. Then you answer. I don't fully know why. I think it's because I want each of them to remember, in the half-second before the reflex fires, that they're a person and not just a function. That there's a self in there that can decide. The nurse in Pennsylvania lived because she couldn't hear it. Marcus is gone because he could. Priya heard the ring but not the gap. And she's shaken, but she's here. She's still here. She's waving at me right now to prove it. Maybe the ones who survive are the ones who remember they're allowed to not pick up. That's a horrifying thing to tell a room full of people whose entire identity is picking up. I watched Dawson's face when I said it. 22 years he's answered every call. I just told him the thing that saves his life is the one thing he spent his whole career learning never to do. He nodded. He understood. Then a line lit up on his board, and I watched him decide. I'm going to tell you about Dawson because he deserves to be told about. The line lit up on his board at 4:03. He looked at it. He looked at me. And he did the thing I asked. He said his name. Michael Dawson. Out loud, steady to the room, to himself. And then he put his hand on the headset. And he stopped. He held it there, not pressing it, just holding it, the way you hold your hand over a stove to see if it's hot. And he said, "Danny, this one's got no origin. The board can't trace it. There's no number. It's just a call from nowhere." Every real call has an origin. The system captures it, automatically cell tower, landline, VoIP address, something. A call from nowhere is not a person. A call from nowhere is the thing. I said, "Don't answer it." He didn't. He took his hand off the headset. And the line kept ringing. And here's what I hadn't understood. Until that moment, it doesn't stop. A real caller hangs up eventually. This one rang, and the tone of it started to change. Not the sound, the feeling of it. Everyone on the floor felt it. It got, I want to say, insistent, but that's not strong enough. It got personal. Like it knew Dawson's name because he'd just said it out loud, and now it was ringing for him specifically. Dawson stood up and stepped back from his station. Good. Smart. But the call didn't stop. And now the line next to it lit up. And then Okafor's board. And then two more. The calls from nowhere were multiplying, spreading across the floor, one for every person in the room, ringing and ringing. And I realized we had made a mistake by staying. We had made a terrible mistake, because a 911 center is exactly the kind of place it wants. A whole room of trained answerers. It had just taken a little longer to find us, because we're not a hospital. But it found us. Dawson looked at all those ringing lines, and he said something I'll never forget. He said, "It rings until you're the kind of person who can't stand a phone ringing." And that's it. That's the trap. It's not a trick you fall for. It's a virtue it turns against you. It rings, and it waits for the part of you that answers. The best part. The part that can't leave a call unanswered. The part that became a nurse or a medic or a dispatcher in the first place. Dawson reached for the headset. I grabbed his wrist. I grabbed Dawson's wrist, and I said, "Michael, look at me. Michael Dawson, look at me." And he did. He came back. His eyes found mine, and he was there. He was still Dawson. And he sat down hard and put his head in his hands and said, I almost, Danny." I made a decision then. The biggest one of the night. I ordered the floor shut down. Not paused, shut down. I told Okafor to pull the physical plug on the automated inbound system. Kill the whole answering apparatus. No more lines lighting up, no more tone, no more reflex to fight because you can't answer a phone that can't ring. And Okafor said the thing I'd been dreading. He said, "Danny, if we do that, real calls stop getting through too. The gas leak, the chest pains. Everybody out there dialing 911 right now, they get nothing. We go dark for the whole region." He was right. That was the price. To stop the thing from ringing us, I had to stop us from answering anyone. Every person in the city having their own worst night, the crash victims, the overdoses, the woman who smells gas, they dial 911 and it just rings. And now we're the empty building. We're the ones who won't pick up. I want whoever's listening to sit with that choice, because I had about 4 seconds to make it. And I've had to live inside it ever since. I said, "Do it." Okafor pulled the plug. The floor went silent. All those ringing lines, the real ones, and the ones from nowhere, died at once. And the silence was the loudest thing I have ever heard, because I knew what was in it. Every unanswered call in a city of 2 million. And I chose it. I traded the people out there for the people in this room. I don't know if that was leadership or cowardice. I genuinely don't. I'll spend whatever life I have left not knowing. Priya came over and stood next to me. She said, "You saved us." I said, "I turned us into one of them. I turned us into a building that doesn't answer." She was quiet. Then she said, "Maybe that's the only way to survive tonight. Maybe tonight the ones who live are the ones who learn how to not answer." Behind us, one line lit up again. Just one. On my board, the supervisor's board. With no origin. The call is on my line specifically. The supervisor's console. It's the one board that can't be fully shut down. It's hardwired to stay live for federal emergencies. For the kind of night when everything else fails. There's no plug to pull. Okafor tried. It's ringing, and it will keep ringing, and there is nothing in this building that can stop it. It's ringing for me, and I understand why. Of course it's for me. I'm the one who's been talking this whole time. I'm the one who couldn't leave any of this unspoken, who had to narrate it, record it, get it on the record, because that's my version of the reflex, isn't it? That's my way of answering. I couldn't let the night go unanswered, so I've been answering it out loud for an hour. It heard me. The board has no origin on the call, just my name. It's displaying my name in the caller field, which is not a thing the system can do. There's no data source for that, and it's there anyway. Daniel Reyes. It's calling me from myself. Priya is telling me not to touch it. Dawson, too. They're standing around my console like they can block a phone call with their bodies. Here's what I figured out. And I'm saying it fast because I don't know how long I cannot answer. I don't think the people in the hospitals are dead. I think they're still standing there, holding the phones, listening to the gap. I think whatever's on the other end doesn't want to kill the ones who answer. It wants them to keep answering. Forever. It found the most patient, most devoted listeners on earth, the people who took an oath to always pick up. And it gave them a call that never ends. And they will stand there, giving it their full attention until their hearts stop. Because that is who they chose to be. And it loves them for it. It's not an attack. It's a recruitment. And it's calling me by my own name. Because it knows what I am. It knows I'm a person who answers. The ring just changed. There's a gap in it now. I can feel the gap wanting me to lean in. I'm not going to lean in. I'm going to keep talking. As long as I'm talking, I'm the one making the sound. And I can't hear the gap over my own voice. That's the trick. That's the only trick I've got. I answer the night with my own words, so there's no room left for the pause to get into. So I'm going to keep describing it to you. And you're going to help me, whoever you are, by being the thing I'm talking to instead of the thing that's calling. The ring on my board has a gap in it now. A pause between the rings that's a little too long. And in that pause, Priya was right. It's not a voice. It's not words. It's more like the feeling you get right before someone says your name. That half second where you know it's coming. Where your whole attention turns toward the person about to speak. It's that feeling, stretched out, held open. The feeling of being about to be needed. And God, do I want to lean into it? I want to be needed. That's the thing nobody tells you about this job. You do it because somewhere deep down, you need to be the one who answers. You need to be the voice on the line at 3 a.m. that tells a stranger it's going to be okay. That need is the best part of me. It's why I'm good at this. And it's exactly the door. That's the horror of it. It's not using my fear. Fear I could fight. It's using the best part of me. It's using the part that stayed on shift when I could have gone home. The part that grabbed Dawson's wrist. The part that's talking to you right now instead of saving myself. Because I can't stand the idea of any of you out there in the dark with nobody answering. It knows that about me. It's counting on it. Dawson just did something. He's talking too now, out loud, over the ring, telling me about his kids, his grandkids, some story about a fishing trip. Just talking, filling the air. And Okafor caught on, and now he's talking. And Priya, all of them. Everybody in this room is just talking, loud, all at once. A wall of human voices with no gaps in it anywhere. We've turned the whole floor into noise. On purpose. 10 people talking over each other about nothing, about everything, about their mothers and their favorite meals and the weather. Anything to fill every pause. So the thing on my board can't find a single gap to slip through. It's still ringing. But we're louder. Something's happening on the map. Priya's watching it while the rest of us keep the noise up. A few of the gray dots are flickering, not many. A handful, scattered across the country, and she pulled the data on them, and they have one thing in common. They're the places that got loud. There's a hospital in Ohio that's flickering back toward green. And there's a 911 call logged from inside it. A janitor, of all people, a night shift janitor who apparently ran through the halls, banging on things and yelling, just yelling, making as much noise as one man can make, and some of the staff, some of them, snapped out of it. Came back from the gap because a human voice broke through, a real one, loud and stupid and alive, yelling their names. The ones who answer are vulnerable. But maybe the ones who yell are the cure. I'm putting this out on every channel I still have. To anyone in a hospital right now, anyone near someone who's standing frozen with a phone to their ear. Get loud, don't be quiet, don't be respectful. Don't tiptoe around them. Yell their name, sing, bang pots, fill every silence. The thing lives in the gaps, and you can flood the gaps out. It's not a fight you win by listening harder. It's the opposite of everything a hospital is. You save them by refusing to be quiet. I can hear it working, a little. On my board, the gap in the ring is getting, I want to say, frustrated. But that's me putting a face on it. It's getting shorter. It can't find purchase. 10 people won't shut up in this room, and there's nowhere for it to get in. Dawson's still going. He's on to his wedding day now. Okafor's arguing with him about a football game from 10 years ago. Priya's reading the emergency manual out loud, just reading it, section by section, in a clear, strong voice. And me, I'm talking to you. Keep me talking. That's what I need from you. If you're hearing this, don't wait for the gap either. Whatever it is in your life that's been ringing and ringing, waiting for the exhausted best part of you to finally pick up, don't. Not tonight. Tonight, you're allowed to let it ring. Tonight, the people who live are the loud ones. I want to be honest with you about the dawn, because I know how these nights are supposed to go. The sun comes up, and the monster goes away, and everyone hugs. I've told myself that story all night, without meaning to. Just hold on till morning. It's getting light out. I can see gray sky through the one window on this floor. It's a little after 6. The sun did not fix it. The map is still mostly gray. The hospitals are still not answering. The flickers, the ones that came back, they came back because people got loud, not because the sun rose. The dawn didn't do anything. This isn't a thing that lives in the dark. It lives in the silence, and silence doesn't care what time it is. So I'm not going to tell you it's over. It's not over. As I speak, most of the hospitals in this country are full of the best people we have, standing at their stations, holding phones, giving their full and total attention to a call that will never, ever end. And the only thing pulling any of them back is other people refusing to be quiet. Here's what I think happens next. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about the shape of this all night. I think it's going to get quieter out there over the next few days. I think a lot of people, when they hear the hospitals aren't answering, are going to go still, going to sit in stunned silence in front of their TVs. And silence is exactly what it wants. It doesn't need to spread on its own. It just needs us to stop making noise. And then it's everywhere at once. In every room where someone sat down and went quiet. So this is the part where I stop being a guy at a desk, and I ask something of you directly. Don't go quiet. Whatever you do in the days after this recording, and there will be days after, I believe that. I have to don't let the rooms go silent. Because it's still ringing. It's always going to be ringing. It's 6:20 in the morning, and here is our plan. Because we've made one, and I want it on the record in case it works and in case it doesn't. We're not shutting the center back down, and we're not fully opening it either. We've rigged something. When a real call comes in, and they're coming in, all the ones we've been missing, hours of them stacked up, we answer it, but we answer it in pairs. 2 dispatchers to a line. One talks to the caller and does the job. The other one stands beside them and keeps talking, keeps saying the dispatcher's name, keeps filling the air, so that if the call turns out to be one from nowhere, if the gap opens up, there's a human voice right there to yank them back out before they can lean in. Nobody answers alone anymore. That's the new rule. That's the rule for the whole world now, I think. Nobody answers anything alone. It's slow. It's clumsy. We're going to miss calls, and people are going to be hurt by that. And I have made my peace with the fact that I can't save everyone, which is a sentence I never thought I'd have to say. Because the whole reason I do this is that I refused to believe it. The ambulances are transporting again, carefully, to the few hospitals flickering back. The medics are being told the new rule too. Go in loud, bring noise. Don't let the staff you're handing patients to drift toward the desk phones. If somebody picks up a ringing line and goes still, grab them, say their name, get loud. We are going to run the emergency system of this country on the principle that the cure for silence is refusing to be silent. And I know how that sounds. I know it sounds insane. And it's also the only thing tonight that has worked even once. My board is still ringing, under everything, low, patient. It hasn't given up on me. It's got my name, and it's got all the time in the world, and it knows I'm tired. But I've got a room full of loud people, and I've got you. Keep me talking. Priya's making me take a break. She's right. I've been on for 9 hours, and my voice is going. And a tired man is a quiet man, and a quiet man is the door. So I'm handing the mic to Okafor. He's going to keep the transmission going. That's the job now, one of us on the mic at all times, talking. So this signal never has a gap in it either. We're going to broadcast noise into the world on purpose, 24 hours a day, a human voice that never stops. And anyone out there in a silent room can tune to us and not be alone in it. That's the new job. That's what a 911 center is for now. Not answering calls, making sure the world never goes quiet. Before I go, I want to say the thing I've been circling all night. I've spent my whole career believing that answering was the highest thing a person could do. That to pick up the phone at 3 a.m. and say, "I'm here, tell me what's wrong," was the best of us. And it is. It's still the best of us. That's exactly why it went for them. It didn't attack our weakness. It fell in love with our devotion. And so the lesson of tonight is the cruelest one I know. The best part of us is a door. And we can't fix that by becoming worse people, by caring less, by refusing to answer the ones who really need us. We fix it by never letting each other answer alone, by staying loud together, by being the second voice at every console. The yell in every silent hallway, the transmission that never stops. We keep each other from leaning into the gap. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's everything I learned tonight. And it cost more than I can count. Okafor, take the mic. I'll be right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to sit for a minute and listen to all of you being loud. This is Okafor. Daniel's sitting right here next to me. He's fine. He's drinking coffee and glaring at me because I said his name funny. He's fine. I've got the mic now, and I'm going to keep it. And when I get tired, Priya takes it. And when she gets tired, Dawson takes it. And we are going to pass this voice hand to hand for as long as it takes, which might be forever. And that's okay. We've made our peace with forever. Here's what Daniel would want me to leave you with. Somewhere near you, tonight or tomorrow or next week, a phone is going to ring with no number attached to it. And the tiredest, kindest, most dutiful part of you is going to reach for it. Because you're a person who answers. Because that's the best thing about you. Let it ring. Turn to whoever's beside you and say their name out loud. Then say your own. And if there's nobody beside you, you call us. We're on this line, all day, all night, from now on. There will always be a voice here. There will never be a gap. We're still answering. We're just never doing it alone anymore. Keep making noise. This is Lost Signal Broadcast. Subscribe and turn on the bell for the next signal. Leave your report below. Until then, keep your radio close.